Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. The quilt that I have on the machine right now is a butterfly applique quilt, and this is a pattern of a quilt that I have made several times. This is probably number 13 or 14 of these quilts that I've made. They are 66 inches square, and the blocks are 11.5 inches, and it has 16 blocks in it, and they're all separated with sashing. Now, what I've done so far is I've got it stabilized on the machine, which means I've stitched in the ditch around the blocks and between the border and the sashings. And I've also quilted around the butterfly appliques. So where I'm at now is working on the outer border, and this border is 4 inches deep, and I am trying to figure out a design to put in here. And since I've done so many of these, I'm trying to make each one a little bit different. And on this one, instead of doing a freehand border, I think I'm going to use some rulers, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to readjust the camera and get out my marking pen and my rulers and show you how I'm going about making the design on this quilt. Okay, what I'm going to do on this border is just do a really big crosshatch, and to do that I needed to find some spacing lines, and so I used my adding machine tape trick again. Cut the length of my border from inside corner to inside corner, and then I just folded it in half and just kept folding it till I got about the width that I thought was going to work good. So now I'm going to lay this down underneath the border, and then I'm going to mark where those creases are, and then I'm going to draw my lines. So I'm just going to do a small section where you can see, using my ruler and using the lines to make this perpendicular, and I'll draw out this spacing. And then I'm going to show you, it's just a crosshatch, so I'm just going to start at one corner and go to the end. Now when I'm at the top of this border, I'm stopping at my basting stitch, because that's 1/4 of an inch inside the edge, and that's where my binding is going to be. So that's where I want my quilting to stop. I don't want it to go all the way to the end, because then it will cut this off, and it would look like you know, a piece block that you have, and you misjudged on the piecing and you cut the corner off of the tip off of the point, and you don't want to do that with your quilting either. So that's why I'm stopping up here. And so I am just going to crosshatch all the way across. So when I get done, I'll have all these diamonds, and let me see if I can erase this, but you can still see. So this is what I'll have. Now I chose this design for one thing, because it won't take too long. It'll take a little time because I'm using rulers, but it won't be a big time investment. For another thing, my friend did not want heavy quilting in here, so I'm keeping it light. For third thing, the design in this is busy, but when you look at it, it looks like it's got lines in it. It has perpendicular lines, so I've got lines going vertically, and I have them going horizontally too. So if I did something like piano keys, you would see where this fabric is printed a little bit off. It's not printed on the straight of grain very well, so that would just show up. So I don't want to do anything that's really going to draw anybody's attention to that. So no horizontal or vertical lines, so I'm going to do diagonal, and I think that will help hide that. And plus I think it'll be interesting with all of the curves from the butterflies. It'll be interesting to have some straight lines in here. Now for the corner over here, what I could do is just take this all the way across, but I think I'm going to do something completely different in here. I haven't quite decided yet. And then for the sashing, I think I'm going to do leaves, and you can do leaves any way you like. I like to kind of alternate the direction that they are going, and so I will do that. And so that will be the sashing, and that will go throughout the whole quilt. Here's the first block. I'll show you what I have in mind for the butterfly itself. What I'm going to do is just a double teardrop, like that, on the outside. As you can see, this, hopefully you can see, this design has kind of a scalloped edge, and I'm just going into that scallop and filling it with the teardrop, and then just doubling that up. Now the body, you won't be able to see, but I'm just going to do kind of like a serpentine line all the way down there. And then once I get the background done, then I'll do the antennae. So the background of this, what I've typically done is just some straight line quilting, either vertically or horizontally or diagonally. I've also done some serpentine quilting vertically down on this. Now on this one I'm going to do a bit of a meander instead. Okay, so what I'm going to do in the background is I'm just going to do some swirls, and I'm going to keep them loose. I don't want to make them real tight in here because that's not what my friend wants. She doesn't want anything heavily quilted. And so I'm going to play around with this a couple of times before I decide exactly how I'm going to do this. I want them loose, but I don't want them to look sloppy, and right now to me they're looking sloppy and I'm not happy with them, so I'm going to have to figure this out. That way I'm happy with the design, and so is my friend. I don't want her to be worried, because she'll be worried that I put too much time into it, and I don't want her to worry about that. So, but see, it's already starting to look better because I'm slowing down and I'm thinking about it a little bit more. And that's what this practice time is for, is to help you figure out what you need to do to make your design look good and yet not you know, break the bank for you on it, and give your customer, if you're working for customers, give them what they want. So I'm going to do something like that. So I'm going to take this off of the machine, the plastic off of the quilt, and then I'm going to load up the thread in the machine, and then I'm going to start quilting, and I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to start here in the corner, and I'm going to start with that cabbage rose, and I'll quilt that in, and then I'll do the cross hatching. Now I've got the machine set on stitch regulated mode, and it's at 12 stitches per inch. Now this fabric is really busy and it's hard to see the quilting design, so this is another case where doing something elaborate is not going to be that beneficial, because you're not going to see it unless you look at the back of the quilt, and if your backing isn't busy, then you will see it. I'm also going to stitch down this seam here to kind of frame off the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll go ahead and do my cross hatching. And then I'm going to go up to the corner. My machine's letting me know my bobbin is low. Okay, got that border done. And then I'll go on and do the sashing. I'm going to start with the butterfly wings first, and then I'll do the background. And then when I get all of the butterflies done in the quilt, then I go back, I'll switch to black thread, and I'll do the bodies and then the antenna. So I won't show you that on here, but I'm going to show you how I complete this block. Now you can break your thread here, or you can follow the piecing or the applique around the body, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to see if I can do this without a ruler. And then I'll finish this side. Okay, that's done. Now I'll do the background. Now the background is a pure white fabric, but the thread is an off-white. This is cream, and it's Omni thread. It is a 50 weight, so it's a little bit thinner than the signature 100% cotton, which is a 40 weight. So let me pull my, let's see if I can get my light over a little bit better. Okay, background is just going to be swirls. bobbin. So let me switch that out. I'm going to try and hide my start right in here where I backtracked anyway. There we go. Okay, there we go. I think I like that. Now I went a little slower than what I normally would because I'm not used to doing these larger swirls. I do them fairly small, or relatively small compared to this. So I wanted to get a good feel for this. I do like this. This is turning out okay. So this is what I'm going to do throughout the whole quilt. I've got the crosshatch in the border, I've got the leaves in the sashing, I've got the teardrops in the butterfly, and swirls in the background. I'm ready to do the antenna and the body of the butterfly, and I'm using black thread. I've switched over. This is a YLI thread. It's a 40 weight, and I'm going to use this Handy Versatool. This is by Handy Quilter, and I'm going to use this curve here as my guide for the butterfly antennae, I guess it would be. And I'm just going to secure my stitches, and then I'm going to go. The one thing I like about this curve is it has these radial lines on it, and this is like the 90 degree. So I'm going to go up to that 90 degree line, and then come back. And then I'm going to stitch around the applique a little bit, and then go to the other side. And then just secure my stitches and tie off. And then for the body, I'm just going to do a serpentine stitch, and I'm going to try and go right over the edge of the applique, of the raw edge. This is a fusible applique, so I want to kind of go over that edge to kind of help secure everything down and help prevent any fraying that may want to happen. So we'll see how this goes. And I think that'll be okay. I did go over a little bit more than I wanted to on a couple of places, but I think that'll be okay. After all, it's a child's quilt, and they really won't care. So you can do all kinds of things in here. You could outline this. I've done straight line stitching in here before. Like I say, I like to do something a little bit different in each quilt, so this is one of the things that I'm doing differently. So this block is complete. I have several more to go. There are 16 blocks in this quilt, so I've got a ways to go. But once I get those done, it just needs to be bound and the quilt will be complete. Here's the finished quilt. I have it hanging up on my design wall. I don't have the border on it yet, but that will come. And I'll zoom in a little bit so that you can see some of the detail. There are the blocks, and you can see the large swirl in the background. I did leave some of those sashings unquilted because my friend wanted space for the child's name when she decides who it goes to. So I left that one row unquilted, and the child's name will go in those sashes. Here's a butterfly a little closer up, and you can see the loops in the wings and the antenna. It's hard to see the quilting in the body. That doesn't want to focus in. And then you can see the crosshatch in the border there. There we go. And the feathers in the outer part of the sashing. And then down here is the cabbage rose. There, you can see that. That didn't show up very well while I was quilting. And you can see the cat's cradle quilt is behind there. I still have that hanging on my wall. And that's it. That quilt is complete, and I'm going to have to count up how many of these done. I think I've done 14 of these, but I'm not certain. And I've made them from scratch from a pattern that I made off of a vintage 1930s butterfly quilt, and turned them into, it's kind of a youth size. It's 66 inches square, and it's kind of a sampler of some feed sacks and just some older fabrics. And it didn't take that long to quilt. It probably took a total maybe 6 to 8 hours. I really wasn't keeping track. It didn't take too long. So it's about ready to go. I just need that binding on it, and then I can give it to my friend, and she can give it to her next great grandchild that comes along. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it, and I'll see you again in the next video.
Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.